Investment thesis, usually I start off at like a very high level. Like to give you an example, I think with a lot of folks coming online and having connected smartphones, they're going to start to do a lot of financial transactions themselves as opposed to going offline. So if you believe that's going to happen, then basically the question is someone defining the problem statement in a specific way that they can solve it? Then sort of what I figure out is, are they going about it in an elegant way? Do they have an interesting product that solves the problem that's gonna delight the customer? And then do they have a business model for this product that is going to take them beyond being a small company, right? Because most of these companies, if they have to succeed, they have to reach a certain scale. And unless they have a way to get to that scale that isn't driven by sort of incentivized users and stuff like that, those are not sustainable. So those are probably the top three things I look at most of the companies. Even though I use fintech as a sector, that probably applies to every sector that I look at. Yeah, I think the earlier stage the company, the more sort of a good investor can add impact very early in the whether it's the company definition, problem definition, product, even basic team recruitment, even founders and early team. I think decisions that the company does right at that stage has a really kind of long shadow as far as positive impact. And similarly, decisions that the company makes that aren't good decisions can sometimes have a very long negative shadow. And so if someone can sort of prevent them from doing mistakes that perhaps they have made as a founder or they have seen done at other companies, sometimes goes a long way, especially if the entrepreneur is doing a company for the first time in their career. Sometimes when the entrepreneur themselves are doing the second company or something like that, they've themselves been through it. But sometimes if you're a first-time entrepreneur, you could be, this may not be obvious to a lot of first-time entrepreneurs. So sometimes an experienced investor can add a lot of value to companies at that stage. I mean, I would say the fundamentals very rarely change, right? And in a way, like as many people have been saying, this might be one of the best periods because companies are now going to be focused on like building real businesses and solving real problems, as opposed to when money is in plentiful supply. Sometimes it can be a distraction from sort of solving what's important. I think also the quality of founders are actually going up year over year, and that is usually a very good sign in that smarter and smarter people are leaving like well-paid jobs to like jump into entrepreneurship and creating new companies. So between smarter people coming in and the overall environment being conducive to building a great company, it might actually be 2017 and the next couple of years might actually ironically be a fantastic time to start a company. So I've always sort of believed in in a big power of open marketplaces to bring together really high quality supply and really high quality demand. And then to set certain rules of the marketplace so that they can interact with each other successfully for both parties. I think to me, like Let's Venture is a great example of an open marketplace coming together for startup investing, where on the one hand, like highly qualified, high sort of quality companies are coming to the table. On the other hand, investors who would be otherwise hard to approach, otherwise hard to get a meeting with, are coming to the table. And they meet each other based on interest level, sector interest, stage of startup, kind of founders that they want to interact with, etc., etc. Which is again like a much more efficient process because like you don't have to meet with 50 companies before deciding they may not be interesting, which is a waste of both the company's time and the investor's time. So by sort of helping solve for this in a very efficient way, it's actually sort of increasing the impact of what all of the players could shoot for in a much more reasonable amount of time. Plus, in addition to that, having events like this now also build really good trust and credibility within that marketplace, so that they're not just kind of profile photos and people who've never spoken to each other. They also meet each other offline. So there's also like deep personal trust that's formed both between Let's Venture and the investors, Let's Venture and the companies, but also between the investors and the companies themselves. Like for instance, like I got an opportunity to meet 3 companies that I have previously invested in who all raised money on Let's Venture today. And so like that's always a great opportunity for those people to all come together. So I'm really excited that, so when I first started doing this 2 or 3 years ago, there was really no such platform. And so this really kind of helps center and focus a lot of people's investing, which I'm sure is going to make the ecosystem a lot more successful. I mean, I think anything that does like beam me up Scotty, like I would write a check anytime. The other is, if you could like do face recognition in an event like this and like find that your friends are there and try to spend more time with them. I think that, especially with AI coming, I don't think it's that far away. And then my third thing is probably flying cars. So anytime any of these happen, I'd probably back them in a heartbeat.